What's up, y'all? We back again. This is Sale Bell Bell. Channel will be named later. What was the other name? Fucking Energy Forever. Yeah. So we back. I just watched the adult Sakura versus Madara video, and now we're gonna go to how strong was Kakashi with both Sharingan, which is a good question. He should have been strong as fuck. We about to get into this. This is from Swag Kage's channel. Yep, and let's start. We're gonna get into it right now, y'all.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Swank Kage here, and today we're going to be talking about something that I think is fairly
Once my internet stop being fucking trash, what's going on? Oh, I gotta put on performance mode while I'm recording. That's why. That's why it's slow.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Swank Kage here, and today we're going to be talking about something that I think is fairly interesting, and that's the power of Kakashi with two Sharingan, often referred to as DMS Kakashi. Now, just for the sake
Side note, how the fuck did he not go blind? Sasuke was going blind after like one arc. He got his Mangekyo. That nigga started going blind after one arc. Itachi got his Mangekyo back when he was like 13. That nigga been on the verge of going blind for years. How the fuck did Kakashi get it? His Mangekyo or Toby Mangekyo, Obito's Mangekyo for like fucking four arcs, spamming. He was fucking the war arc that nigga was spamming fucking Mangekyo Sharingan powers, spamming them left and right. Sasuke, he got his Mangekyo. That nigga used like 10 abilities. Oh man, I'm about to go blind. I need Itachi's other eye. This nigga spammed everything. He spammed Kamui. That nigga was spamming and never went blind. His eyesight never even got worse. But that's a whole separate. That's a whole another plot hole for another day, man.
of total clarity, the version of Kakashi I'm talking about is from chapters 688 and 689. This Kakashi had two Sharingan, could manifest the perfect Susanoo, and played an active role in the defeat of Kaguya. I wanted to make this video because while I've already talked about Kakashi in the past, I've never extensively talked about this version of him, and recently I've noticed a lot of people don't seem to understand just how powerful he was at this point. I think it's fairly common for people to believe he'd lose to somebody like Ten Tails Jinchuriki Obito, but I've also run into people who believe that Madara, Hashirama, and in some cases even members of the Akatsuki are stronger than him. To be blunt, none of these characters are on Kakashi.
Stronger than who? He said stronger than him. Stronger than Kakashi or stronger than Obito? Because he was just putting Kakashi up against Obito. Does he mean like Hashirama and them is weaker than Obito? The Sage Six Path Obito? What does he mean? Let's go back a little bit. Maybe I missed it.
Obito. But I've also run into people who believe that Madara, Hashirama, and in some cases even members of the Akatsuki are stronger than him. To be blunt, none of these characters are on Kakashi's level. As a matter of fact, at this point it's possible to argue that he was stronger than both Naruto and Sasuke. Now obviously he only had this power up for a very short period of time, but I don't think that's relevant here because I'm a lot more interested in how strong Kakashi was when he...
What point is he talking about? When would he ever be stronger than them? Let me go back. Let me make sure I ain't missing that. Cause I'm trying to figure out when the fuck is he talking about that he could have been stronger than them.
Hashirama, and in some cases even members of the Akatsuki are stronger than him. To be blunt, none of these characters are on Kakashi's level. As a matter of fact, at this point it's possible to argue that he was stronger than both Naruto and Sasuke. Now obviously he only had this power up for a very short period of time, but I don't think that's relevant here because I'm a lot more interested in how strong Kakashi was when he had both Sharingan than I am in anything else. There are probably some fights that you could throw this version of Kakashi into where the time limit would be relevant, but we don't even know how long that time limit is, and the idea with this video is to prove how strong Kakashi is with the power-up before the time limit runs out anyway. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a crack at this. Before we talk about anything else, I want to make sure everyone knows that this power-up did give Kakashi 6 paths power. This isn't just like regular 4th War Kakashi with an extra Sharingan. He straight up tells Sakura, and I quote, "Gaining 6 paths power enhances one's ocular powers too." Now, the thing is, 6 paths level is
But was he talking about himself? Like, I always felt like he was talking about Naruto and Sasuke. I never thought he was talking about himself. Like it says, I'm gonna read it in case y'all can't read it. It says gaining six path power enhances one's ocular powers too, just as I thought. Now you can interpret that as him meaning himself, like, oh, when he say just as I thought, he's saying like, oh man, this confirms like I have the power and it does do it just like I thought. Or how I always took it was he saw how the power up enhances Sasuke's power and he said, oh, gaining six pack power enhances ocular power too, just like I thought, because I see that it enhances Sasuke's. So I always took it like it's that, not as him having it himself. But yeah, let's go back a little bit and see what Swag got to say.
Paths power enhances one's ocular powers too. Now, the thing is, Six Paths level is a pretty vague descriptor. It refers to a vast range of different power levels, all the way from Ten Tails Jinchuriki Obito up to Kaguya. But fortunately, this version of Kakashi does do quite a bit despite his lack of screen time, so it's pretty easy to deduce how strong he might be based on his performance against Kaguya. One of the most impressive things about him is his speed. He doesn't really seem to have any trouble keeping up with Naruto and Sasuke, and he manages to land multiple clean hits against Kaguya. Not to mention, he's also shown reacting to multiple attacks from Kaguya, so I think it's safe to say that none of these examples qualify as outliers. Now, his power and durability aren't as easy to quantify. As a matter of fact, doing so might be impossible. We only really have one statement to go off of, and even then, it's questionable. Naruto calls Kakashi's Susanoo more awesome than Sasuke's, which could mean that its armor is more durable and its punches hit harder, but it could also mean that Naruto just thinks it looks cooler or has cooler abilities.
That's what I
It's
think.
impossible to infer anything meaningful from this without making assumptions, and like I said, this is really all we have, but that's okay because, in my opinion, his power and durability are irrelevant. For the purposes of determining the outcome of any fights involving this version of Kakashi, all that really matters is his speed. Now, that might sound weird at first, but the thing is, Kakashi can use Kamui, both versions of it in fact. As I've said many times in the past, Kamui is super duper overpowered. You could make a pretty strong case for it being the best offensive jutsu in the series and the best.
Except I agree with everything he's saying about Kamui. Kamui is stupid, dumb, fucking overpowered. Especially Kakashi's eye, where he can like use it at a distance, um, and like teleport shit at a distance. Extremely overpowered. But he should be going blind. Like the fact that he's not going blind after spamming it so many times is a huge plot hole that normally, like again, like I said in the beginning, Sasuke used like 10 Mangekyo abilities, that nigga was going blind. If you was consistent, if the writer was consistent with the show, Kakashi should have been going blind after using Kamui a few times. So it is super overpowered, but realistically, he should have been going blind a lot sooner. So it wouldn't be that much of like a offensive threat. It'd be like a last resort kind of thing because you gonna go blind if you use it more than once, really, or if you use it a few times. But let's go back a little bit.
Both versions of it, in fact. As I've said many times in the past, Kamui is super duper overpowered. You could make a pretty strong case for it being the best offensive jutsu in the series and the best defensive jutsu in the series.
Yeah.
Like, you can't hit a Kamui user, and you can't block Kamui either. As long as he and his opponent are relative in speed, Kakashi can dodge any attacks they throw at him, and can ignore their durability by combining Kamui with other attacks. Something worth mentioning at this point is that when Kakashi used Kamui against Kaguya, it was the best we'd ever seen it. First of all, according to Madara, using both eyes together doubles the speed of the jutsu, which is a little crazy because it's not like Obito ever had any trouble using Kamui reactively. So this means that the window Kakashi has to react to incoming attacks is doubled. It also means that if Kakashi uses Kamui the same way he did against Deidara, or the same way Obito attempted to against Minato, his opponent should only have half as much time to react. Reason number 2 why Kamui was better than ever is because Kakashi Kakashi showed that he could use it in all sorts of new and unique ways. For example, his Susanoo had shuriken that teleported anything they cut through into the Kamui dimension. He could combine the power of Kamui with the Raikiri for a similar effect, and when using Kamui the same way he had throughout most of Shippuden, he was able to teleport away one of Kaguya's dimensional portals. Not sure how he did it, but it definitely happened. So when it comes to this version of Kakashi, we're talking about somebody who the rules don't really apply to. He's got everything that made Obito so crazy, in addition to the version of Kamui that we normally associate with Kakashi, and he can cast Kamui twice as fast, and he has 6 paths powers, and he has extra Kamui abilities. So
hold on now. When did he get six path powers? You alluded to that in the beginning of the video, but again, I always thought he was talking about Sasuke, not itself. So I don't know about that part, but this nigga is fucking broke. That's a fact.
fast, and he has 6 paths powers, and he has extra Kamui abilities. So for those who are still wondering, yes, I do think he's stronger than Naruto and Sasuke. Stronger insofar as he could beat both of them in a fight, and could probably beat anyone that they could beat in a fight. Stronger is a bit of a weird word to use.
Stronger is a very weird word because I wouldn't say stronger. I would say he has he has better hacks abilities. Like he can beat Naruto and Sasuke in a fight because of his damn I hit the camera. Okay. Because of his hacks ability of Kamui that can teleport anything, but like his straight up like his I don't think his Chidori is more powerful than Naruto's Rasengan or and when Naruto had the tail beast, he had different Rasengans. He had the lava one, he got the wind one that he made, he got the magnet release one. Like he got different ones. He had the what's the one? What's the one from the beginning of the show where Naruto and Sasuke clash? Like the rainbow one. He never used that shit again, but the rainbow one, like, or was that like in filler? Anyway, he got different versions. I don't think it's more powerful than them. Like his Rakiri, I don't think it's more powerful than them, but I think his hacks ability of Kamui is better in a fight. But I don't think he's more powerful, or as Swag is putting it, stronger. He's using the word stronger, which is kind of weird word, but we know what he mean. But yeah, I would say he just has a better hacks ability.
Naruto and Sasuke. Stronger insofar as he could beat both of them in a fight, and could probably beat anyone that they could beat in a fight. Stronger is a bit of a weird word to use because, like I said, we don't know how durable he is or what his attack potency is. But what I'm getting at is that this Kakashi has the tools necessary to beat just about anyone else in the series. The only person who I feel comfortable saying Kakashi would lose to in a one-on-one is Kaguya, because she could teleport him to another dimension that he wouldn't be able to return to the real world from. Despite how well he performed in the fight against her, it did still seem like he was relying on Naruto and Sasuke to seal her. And no, by the way, that does not mean that they were more powerful than him, it's just that they were the only ones who could use Six Paths Chibaku Tensei to seal her. It's
They
sort
had
of
the
like
technique.
how KCM2 Naruto was more powerful than War Arc Kakashi, but Kakashi needed to be there in the fight against Obito because they couldn't do any damage to Obito without him. The fact that Kakashi's presence was necessary at the time isn't indicative of him being stronger than Naruto, only it's like the reverse case here in the Kaguya.
It's just that they needed that technique. Naruto needed that technique from him back then. And then they needed a technique. Like it's just the technique. They need that jutsu. That jutsu is very good for the situation they was in, and he could supply that jutsu. That's all it was. I don't think it was necessarily his power level or nothing like that, or his strength, or his whatever you want to call it. I think it was just that technique is needed at that time.
Him being stronger than Naruto, only it's like the reverse case here in the Kaguya situation. Another character who might be able to beat Kakashi up is Hagoromo. Sticking strictly to manga canon, we don't really know what he's capable of, so he might have all sorts of crazy, wacky abilities that make Kamui useless, or he might just be fast enough to make Kamui a non-issue. I'm not really sure. Six Paths Madara is also a bit of a weird matchup, because I don't think Kakashi has any way to detect the Limbo clones, and he also doesn't have any durability feats, so if he gets hit by one of them, he might just die immediately.
Yep.
But if we assume he activates the Susanoo as soon as the fight begins, then he should be able to take care of Madara with a couple Kamui Shuriken. I know that Kakashi's actual body is significantly faster than Madara, since he was able to blitz Kaguya after Zetsu mentioned her speed increased significantly. And while
But is Kaguya faster than Madara? I don't know. Is Kaguya faster than Madara? That's a good question. Let me know in the comments, cause Madara, the reason why he died was because of a sneak attack. That nigga snuck him. What's his name? Zetsu. Zetsu snuck that nigga. That's not a speed feat. Does Kaguya have speed feats that we can compare? So in this scene, she's fighting Sasuke and Naruto. Naruto got the six paths, so they should be faster. But at the same time, these two versions of Naruto and Sasuke, when they was fighting Madara, they were keeping up with them. They wasn't like they was keeping up with Madara. They wasn't like surpassing him. They wasn't like blitzing him. They was like on equal footing. But their techniques and all that shit was more powerful, so they was able to fight him. And it was 2-on-1. Well, really more than 2-on-1 because of Naruto, but that's a whole side conversation because of his shadow clones. But I don't think these versions of Naruto and Sasuke, the six path version was faster than Madara. I think they were equal. So for them to still be equal to Kaguya, that means that Kaguya was equal to Madara. Huh? I'm doing something. All right, y'all. That was Nana. She came over, needed some help from me. I don't know if y'all heard any of that, but she needed my help with her fucking watch, syncing it to her phone. Damn, this Starburst good as fuck. This the pink one. What's that? Strawberry? Damn, I ain't had Starburst in a minute, bro. This shit good as fuck. I'm trying not to smack in the mic, but this shit good. All right. We back. Let me go back a little bit.
enough to make Kamui a non-issue, I'm not really sure. Six Paths Madara is also a bit of a weird matchup, because I don't think Kakashi has any way to detect the Limbo clones, and he also doesn't have any durability feats, so if he gets hit by one of them, he might just die immediately. But if we assume he activates the Susanoo as soon as the fight begins, then he should be able to take care of Madara with a couple Kamui Shuriken. I know that Kakashi's actual body is significantly faster than Madara, since he was able to blitz Kaguya after Zetsu mentioned her speed increased significantly. And while I personally believe that his Susanoo...
Oh, Zetsu said that? When did he say her speed increased? It's been a long time since I watched the ending of Naruto. I didn't know her speed increased.
mentioned her speed increased significantly. And while I personally believe that his Susanoo should be able to move at a speed similar to that of his actual body, I can think of a few ways to play devil's advocate with that. But even considering that, I do think that there's enough evidence to suggest that Kakashi Susanoo should at least be faster than Madara. When she was in her weird rabbit Biju blob mode, Kaguya's tentacles were fast enough that Naruto thought he should warn Sasuke about them. It's clear that he considered them a threat, and Kakashi was able to cut through them with his Kamui Shuriken, and you could say to that maybe Kaguya didn't have the awareness necessary to perceive incoming threats, since she had turned into a feral blob monster. But right after Naruto commented on the speed of the tentacles, Kakashi did swoop in with his Susanoo to save Sakura from one of them. So I think you can safely and definitively say that both in and out of his Susanoo, Kakashi is faster than Madara. It's a weird fight, and one that I'd be happy to elaborate on in its own video if you guys are interested. But in short, I think Kakashi would win, though there are a handful of different ways that you could argue Madara would take it. Setting aside his inability to perceive the Limbo clones, I think that Kakashi is definitely more dangerous than Madara, and would probably have a much easier time beating Naruto and Sasuke than Madara did. Given his speed, his ability to ignore any attacks thrown at him, and the fact...
And the plot. And don't forget the plot. He got the plot, too, of not being blind and never going blind. Never forget that.
Than Madara did. Given his speed, his ability to ignore any attacks thrown at him, and the fact that he can one-shot anybody with Kamui, I feel pretty confident saying that Kakashi is, aside from Kaguya and arguably Hagoromo, the strongest character in the entire series. That said, if you disagree, feel free to let me know in the comments or on Twitter. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I think that there's an interesting discussion to be had here, so I genuinely look forward to hearing from some of you. Now, real quick, before I get out of here, today's video is sponsored by Loot Crate, and I'm going to be honest, I'll be a little bit surprised if most of you...
Shout out to them. Shout out to Loot Crate. We're not watching this ad though. So nope. That's it. But yeah, man. I don't have nothing to get against Kakashi. It's just he has a major fucking plot hole with not going blind that has to be brought up. If you're talking about who's more powerful, him or somebody else, you gotta bring up that fucking plot hole that the plot is really saving a nigga because he should have been blind. And without his Kamui, he is not. Well, he without Kamui, he's top tier for like Naruto, but not for Naruto Shippuden. He'd be top tier in Naruto, but not Naruto Shippuden without the Kamui. But yeah, that was that video. That was how strong is Kakashi with both Sharingan from Swag Kage. This is Bell Bell NSG Forever. This channel will be named later. Let me know in the comments what you thought about that. And subscribe to the channel and hit the like button on the video if you like it. Or if you disliked it, hit the dislike button too, man. Let me know how you feel about it, man. I don't care if you hit the dislike. Hit the dislike. Fuck it. But yeah, we out. See y'all later.